I made a little report, so I kind of feel like I'm in 5th grade, but so I'll go through my report and then we're going to share some art and talk about the artists. And so I'm happy to see you all here. Art, friendship, and a lifetime of support. As we all know, art is a form of expression, but for me, it's been a form of connection. Throughout history, creative work has brought people together, strengthened bonds, and helped individuals support one another through every stage of life. The relationship between art and friendship reveals how creativity can deepen trust, encourage growth, and sustain people over the decades. Art is not only something we create, it's something we share. And in sharing it, we build friendships that can last a lifetime. And one thing I thought of as I was writing this, the first time my husband Mike picked me up for a date in my home in Rollins, he came in and he was looking at my art, and he saw my ballerina watercolor by Joel Johnson and another little Parco picture I have at the back of Parco, and he knew the artist. And so that was one of our first connections, was art and an artist we knew in common. And so that was kind of the start of our connection. So that has a lot of meaning for me. Art as a foundation for connection. Friendship often begins with shared interests, and art provides one of the most powerful common grounds. Whether through painting, music, writing, dance, or craft, creative activities invite collaboration and conversation. When people create together, they reveal pieces of themselves, their emotions, memories, dreams, and vulnerabilities. This shared vulnerability builds trust. Showing someone a drawing, a poem, and a poem hits home to me because I'm kind of a closet poet. And so I've shared a few over the years with people, but most of it's just real personal, and I keep it. And I am afraid, somebody will think that's stupid. Well, now I'm old enough, I really don't care. But I think all artists probably feel that way at some point. So that connects with me. When a friend responds with encouragement rather than judgment, this makes me think of my late friend Gretchen. She was an art teacher and an artist, and I bought all this art stuff, and I was sketching, and I sketched a bear, and I sketched a boat in the water, and she'd come up and she'd say, "Oh, Lindy, you're so good. You're just so good." Well, I could see that I wasn't, but I had potential, and she really gave me that support. So I miss her very much. When a friend responds with encouragement rather than judgment, a foundation of support is formed. In this way, art becomes more than a hobby. It becomes a bridge between hearts. As friendships mature, art can evolve alongside them. Two friends might begin by sketching together in school, later attending exhibits, performing in community theater, or simply sharing books and ideas over coffee. The creative exchange offers intellectual and emotional growth. Art challenges people to see the world differently. This is what I like most about art, is we all see it differently. And that's a good thing. Friends who discuss paintings, films, novels learn to listen to each other's perspectives. They may disagree, but through respectful dialogue, they develop empathy and understanding. Over time, this habit of creative conversation strengthens the friendship itself. Now, how novel, talking about something and maybe disagreeing through respectful dialogue. Doesn't that sound nice? Doesn't that sound wonderful? Creativity also teaches resilience. Projects fail. Performances go poorly. Paintings do not turn out as planned. Friends who encourage one another through these disappointments build a pattern of lifelong support. Friends who share creative practices can use art as a safe place to process difficult emotions. A letter, a playlist, a collaborative project can communicate support when words alone feel insufficient. This brings to mind a friend in Rollins, Debbie, who quilts. And she makes beautiful quilts. And she also joins other people at the quilting shop in Rollins. Often they quilt together. And what it is a support system. They're creating art, but they have a fabulous support system. And so I think the older I get, I see how much more art brings to us personally. And I think that's the most important part. In these moments of sharing art together in a group, art becomes a language of loyalty. I believe creating art is cathartic. As I've aged, I find when I'm in need of something in my life, I need to express myself. I need something to do. I need a distraction, and I'll try something new. Like the cello, I took cello lessons for a year. I've taken art classes. I'm always trying something new. Now I'm making greeting cards. I find that I really enjoy it. But I believe art is cathartic. Art has been intertwined with human emotion and healing since ancient times. Art has the power to connect, heal, and inspire. Friendship has the power to support, encourage, and sustain. When these two forces intertwine, they create a bond that can withstand time and change. Through shared creativity, friends not only express themselves, they build a lasting foundation of trust and support. What I appreciate most about art is the subjectiveness of art. Unlike science or mathematics, because I didn't always get those answers right, art does not offer one single correct answer. There is no universal rule that tells us exactly what a painting means, how a song should make us feel, or what a performance is supposed to say. So it's just so personal, and that to me is fabulous. Instead, art invites interpretation. It asks each of us to bring our own experiences, emotions, and perspectives into the moment. Subjectiveness of art is not a weakness, it is a great strength. Because there is no single interpretation, art creates conversation. Art allows us to see the world through someone else's eyes. In the end, art reminds us that human experience is personal and beautifully varied. And now, I want to share with you my husband and my art collection and talk about the artists. And we have an eclectic collection. But as I was looking through yesterday, as I was sending Liz pictures, I think our favorites are nature, architecture, and people. And so I'm happy to share our collection, and we'll talk about artists, and we're gonna stop a couple of times. I have something to read about one of the portraits in here that's just really, really nice. So I guess we can start, Liz. Thank you. This is one of my earliest pieces, and this is a watercolor by Joel Johnson, and it's of the back of the Parco Hotel where the bowling alley was. And when my sister Shelly and I were little kids, we used to set pins at the bowling alley, and I think our parents would be in jail today because I got my Social Security contribution start in 1961. I was 10. I was 10, and we worked in the bowling alley, and I thought they'd be arrested today. But this piece has such a connection to us, and that's a watercolor by Joel, whom we grew up with, and he's still a part of our life today.
Ready for the next one?
Yeah. And this is Stained Glass by Tricia Kaufman. She has TK Studios downtown here.
Studio T.
Or what is it?
Studio T.
Studio T. How did I not know that? Anyway, she does beautiful stained glass. She makes beautiful bowls, and she has a really neat little gallery, and that's one of my favorite things. And we've got that in the window in the dining room. This artist is Gary Kymick, and he is a sweetheart. He's out of Du Bois, and I met him at one of the Festival of Arts here years ago. And then I've stopped, Gretchen and I used to stop in his art gallery on our way to the Tetons, and he used to be right downtown Du Bois on a corner, and he used to live around here. He's a biologist. He was a biologist for game and fish, and then when they moved up there, and then he just became totally an artist. And this, I took a photograph. My husband Mike and Gretchen and I were sitting up behind Jackson Lake Lodge, and I took that picture, and Gary painted it. So that's special. But his skies, I'm not really fond of the trees in front, but I don't care. I love it. And the picture looked like that. And I love it. But that's Gary Kymick, and he and his wife Vicki are just precious, and they love Saratoga, and they love to come and go to Bella's. So this artist, this is an oil, I believe. And this Mike McIntosh, I met him at the Festival of Arts, and he lives in Cheyenne, and he's a retired firefighter. And I would imagine probably around my age, 74-ish. And he just, we started visiting at the festival, and not only did I like him, I liked his art, and I love that sagebrush, and that looks like a lot of places. I spend a lot of time, like north of Sinclair, around Seminole, it looks like so many of the areas that we were around all of our lives. And Gretchen, this is a colored pencil by Gretchen, and she did that. That is our view. That is from our porch looking east. And she did that colored pencil. And she was out there she started it at our house, but she said, I'm just working on something for school, leave me alone, you know. And then we got that for Christmas. So, and I just love it. And it just means a lot to us. And my husband and Gretchen became very good friends also. And so our art is all very meaningful. Some of it because of the artists, and some of it because of what the art is from. Here's another Gary Kymick. Gary, the artist in Du Bois. Isn't that sagebrush beautiful? I can smell it. I can smell it, and its flowers. And he is one of the nicest people I've ever met. Soft-spoken, a real naturalist. Thank you. Liz knows him. Jerry knows him. Marge is here. Here's one of the first pieces I bought from Marge. This just spoke to me, and I've got it in my blue bedroom, and I just love it. The blues are so bright, and I have to say a little bit about Marge. Marge is a retired art teacher. She's right here, and I have to say, art teachers are good at so many mediums because they taught them. And Marge can do anything, and she has a little gallery in Rollins, and you guys have to see it. She's got fabulous pottery, she's got paintings, she's got more than I know, but it's a really neat gallery, and she does really neat things. And now I have some others on here from March too. That was my first one a long time ago. Okay.
Can I add a couple things?
Yeah.
Marge also just got accepted into the Wyoming Arts Council residency program for this summer. She'll be doing it up at Sinks Canyon. And she has also been accepted into the Festival of Arts this year, and she'll have 2 pieces.
Oh, good, Oh, that's cool. My friend, here's another Marge. Isn't that neat? I wish I would have bought the one that went with it.
This one, yeah.
Is it gone?
Yeah.
Okay. Isn't that neat? Is that pencil?
That colored pencil.
Yeah. And look at that.
And watercolor.
And watercolor. Yeah. And I just love that. It's so good. But thank you, Marge. She's very talented. And Pam Craft. We all know Pam. And I think Pam's work, this is like a big piece, and it's in my kitchen. And you can look at this cabbage and you can hear it snap. It's so crisp. And it's got droplets of water on it that when you see the painting, and I believe it's watercolor and pencil. I used to know, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. But I mean, it's so real. It looks like a photograph. People don't believe me. It's a painting. And Pam, I think her work speaks for her personality. Bright, happy, vivid. And Joel. Here is one of my favorites of Joel's, and it is of Georgia O'Keeffe's Ghost Ranch. And I think Ghost Ranch just is a symbol for a lot of neat things. The story about Georgia O'Keeffe and what it is, and that area where she bought is conservation, under conservation now to preserve things. But like I said, Mike and I like architecture, and this is Ghost Ranch. And this is my bison. Mike and I commissioned Joel to do this about 3 years ago, and we just love this guy. And Joel said it's the hardest thing he's ever done. He said all that white in watercolor was very difficult. He said his brain hurt. But I said, well, I asked you to do oil. He said, I don't do oil. So, but we love it. We love it. It's right when you come in our house, and we just love this guy. Now this, Mike collected this a long time ago. And this is another Joel Johnson. And it's, you can see a sheetrock, and when you go out to the Edwards Ranch, Sheetrock Ranch, on the end of town, it's right when you go in the gate, and in person, it's dynamic. It's huge, and we have it up high, and you can feel the crispness of the snow. You can hear it crunch. It's really nice. It's really nice.
I used to try to get to school on that road.
Is that right?
I'm slipping and sliding already.
Yeah.
When we lived on the pick racks right under there.
Oh gosh, how neat. All these
I love
memories.
Yeah.
Oh, and Mike and his late wife, Kathy, collected this in the 90s. This is a V.B. Crandall. And I think I have a little owl V.B. print, but this is the only V.B. we have. And it is, you can see the dust. You can kind of smell this one too. And I think all of us from around here love antelope, so it's really special, and it's nice and big, and it's pretty dynamic. But that's Mike's favorite all-time piece of art. Okay, Mr. Scoggin, Bill Scoggin. Mike has had this for a long time. And this is Louie. And Mr. Scoggin, whom my sister and I call him that because when we were babies and toddlers, we lived next door to Scoggins in Sinclair. And so this is very special to us. But I found this. Mike saves everything. I found this. I want to read you about Louis, the man this portrait was taken. And I believe that's charcoal.
And self-portrait.
It's, no, Bill Scoggin did this of Louis.
Oh,
And I found this and I have to read it to you all. It is so special. Louis Wirtz, that's who this is. Louis Wirtz, 1898 to 1981. Louis Wirtz was born May 10, 1898 on a small cattle ranch near Springer, New Mexico. His parents were Joseph and Winifred Wirtz. He was one of 4 sons. He came to Saratoga in the Platte Valley in 1915. He worked for his uncles and the Rich brothers on their ranch. For many years and prior to his death, he worked the Kenneth Olson Ranch, also for the Howard Corpening Ranch. He cared for himself and enjoyed the solitude along the Platte River, living in small log cabins in the Pick Ridge area. He was born with a birth defect, telepsy, commonly known as club feet. He had no heels nor insteps and few toes on either foot. Despite the taxing effort to get about, he had developed a technique for walking. He was able to work and walk miles at a steady pace. Wearing knee-high rubber boots, which seemed to conform to his feet, walking meant turning the toes in and slightly to the rear, placing one foot over the other as he walked. He earned a living doing ranch work and cared for himself. He was never steady on his feet and seemed to be always off balance. His slight figure, clad in well-worn bib overalls, faded blue denim shirt, a crumpled, tattered hat, best describes Louis and his attire. Prior to coming to Wyoming, Louis completed school in New Mexico and attended college in Pueblo, Colorado. His grammar was surprisingly good, though at times he seemed to find it more convenient to use profanity. I relate to that. He spoke 3 languages, English, German, and Spanish. His weathered features attested to his many years in the out-of-doors, which he knew and loved, along with the freedom to hunt and fish. Many incidents and stories could be related about Louis. To know him was to know a part of the colorful past around here. Louis Wirtz passed away September 29, 1981 at the Valley View Nursing Home, Saratoga, Wyoming, at the age of 83. Isn't that lovely? Dick, did you know Louis?
We had a program on it last week.
You did, and I missed it. I
2
missed
weeks ago,
it.
I was going to say that. And Kenny
We-
Swanson told wonderful stories
Did
about
he?
working with Louis.
Oh.
Yes, and see, we were neighbors when we were on the Pick Ranch. He was right across on the Courtney
Oh,
and across the river. Yes, I knew him really well.
Oh.
In fact, I made a lot of rounds around the hayfield
Yeah.
with him.
Yeah.
And I have a colored one that Scoggins did.
Yeah.
He did that, and plus he did a watercolor.
Oh.
And it's a little bit different
Yeah. And
pose.
this charcoal, yeah, I really like. And I know Mike's son wants it. And then I found this story and I thought, oh, I really want that, but I don't care. But yeah, this is one of Mike's favorites because he knew who Louis was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And plus, he had a story that why he came here was because he got into a shooting match because he wanted to avenge his mother had been raped by a guy, and he shot the guy and then left, and he'd been acquitted, but he lived here and he never knew it until, I don't know if he ever knew it, but his family came up here and was telling him about that he didn't have to leave, and so that's why he hid out all this time.
Poor guy.
In fact, I have that story in that book, the pamphlet I had last.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
But,
I'm
yeah,
so sorry I missed that.
I really got
But Louis,
I get
what
to
a
take that
guy.
one.
Puts you really can know who Louis was.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. And another Gretchen, she just loved aspen, and that's just what, and that's a colored pencil that Gretchen gave me years ago. And I just look at it every day, and she lives on. And this is another Bill Scoggin, and this is one from Mike's early collection. And Mike and Kathy commissioned, no, I think Kathy commissioned Mr. Scoggin to do this for a birthday present for Mike. And that hangs in our den.
Is that one that's on the cottonwood? Bark?
Yeah.
Yeah, we used to gather that almost where Louis lived.
Is that right?
That cottonwood bark
Oh, nice.
and the paint on it.
Yeah.
And for those who don't know, there's a Bill Scoggin one out here in the foyer. It's above the dressing room, and I think that was donated by the McIlvaines. I'm not sure.
Yes, well, it used to hang
It used to hang in the bank.
in the bank, and McIlvain owned the bank at the
Yeah.
time. And so they donated, there's another one up at the museum and a couple more around town.
Here's another Gary Kymick. And this is so special to me because my late friend, our late friend, she was friends to Chris and Marge and Shelley and other people in this room. I spent a lot of time in the Tetons at her family's summer home. And I took a photograph sitting on her back deck. That was the view. And she was in Moran. So it was a great, perfect distance from Jackson because you didn't have to go in town in the summer and be a tourist, but you could be out here. And so I asked last summer, Gary was in town, Gary and Vicki Kymick, and I showed him the photographs, and he said, yeah, I'll do that. So Gary painted that from my photo from Gretchen's death. Oh, and this is another Mike McIntosh, the retired firefighter in Cheyenne. And he had this at Festival of the Arts two or 3 years ago. And we bought that from him. It looks extra bright right now because I had a light on it. But that thing, you can feel the sun. Yeah, I mean, it's just, he's just very good. Very good.
Is that a painting?
And that's an oil.
Oil.
Yeah. Oh, and this, J.C. Pace the Third, Mike got that for me for a birthday present a long time ago when Laura M. had an art show, an evening art show at her gallery, and this was one of the pieces. And Mike said, "Do you see anything you like?" I said, "Oh, I really like that tree, but well, then I got it for my birthday." So, but J.C. Pace III is related, I believe, to Jason and Lee Taylor and the T.A. Ranch. I think he has a I think that's Pace Pecani Pace is what I think. But I love this bronze tree. So does Mike. He really likes it. Jerry Wood. Oh my God, 2 years ago, Jerry had Bird Woman at Festival of Arts. So, first, then I want Jerry to talk about it. But I have to tell you what Bird Woman did to me when I went over and looked at her and touched her. She spoke to me. To me, she's this mature woman. She's been through a lot. She knows a lot. She's quiet. All she has to do is stand there with her gray hair and she gets respect. That's what she did to me. So Jerry, tell us about Bird Woman.
Well, I'm supposed to stand up.
So people can hear you.
Well, whenever I do any carving, I do not start with an idea. I just start carving, and as the forms emerge, then I make the decision of what I'm going to carve. And I've always when I was taught, that's the way I was taught to sculpt. And one of the other things is with sculptures, you have to have some flow and movement going on. So that if you have something going on one side, it should lead you around to the other side, where you always want to go around to get the rest of the story on the sculpture. And the exciting part for me is, like, with carving that way, which is carving directly, is I'm not trying to put my preconceived notions and ideas into the carving. And so it's basically a journey of me and the stone together, going along and just kind of telling the story. And the icing on the cake on any of the carvings for me, because when I'm carving, the sculpture, no matter what the stone is, will be white because the stone is bruised. And then as I'm finishing the stone, that's when the colors of the stone come out, when I'm polishing it. And a lot of times it just adds so much to that carving, that with the veining of the stone and everything else, and also playing with the textures in the stone.
Is that wood or stone?
That's stone.
Stone.
That's Angel Fire Alabaster from New Mexico. So
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And it belongs there.
she's about that high.
She's wonderful. Thank you, Jerry.
Thanks.
We love her. Oh, here's another Jerry Wood. This is Inside Out, an abstract. And it swivels on the pedestal, and it's just really a neat abstract. And Jerry had that. We had an art show at my house last summer, and Jerry and Liz had art there. We had photographs from Liz and a lot of Jerry's work. And he brought that, and it's like I knew right away. It's really neat. And so Jerry, tell us about that and what kind of stone that is.
Okay, that stone is black pearl potent soapstone from Virginia. And with my abstracts, a lot of times when I do decide that it is going to be an abstract, those are my play pieces, I call it. And so I see how far I can kind of push things to where, like with this, with the abstract, you turn it, there's something different on every side. And with this one, I decided, well, I'm going to do something different, because a lot of times on my carvings, in the areas that are hard to reach, I would texture, like the white showing up. Well, on this, I thought, I'm going to do it inside out. I'm going to texture the outside and polish the inside. So I haven't done that again. Because it's so hard to polish in those areas inside.
Well, it's beautiful. Yeah, we really enjoy it. Oh, and here are two pencil drawings by John Gilman. He gave those to Mike years ago, I think in the 80s, maybe 90s. And John and Mimi lived here, and John, I think he's gone now, but he was a good artist. And Shively, here's the east part of Shively, and it's just so pretty. It's from pictures from a long time ago, and so Mike's had those for a long time, and they're just really neat drawings. Oh my gosh, I wish Gary Kymick didn't have a Facebook page. Because he put these on there last summer. Oh no. And really, I didn't have any of the Tetons, and I never really wanted any. We got good stuff here, We just kind of a funny thing. But after our good friend Gretchen died, then I was really missing the Tetons, and it connected us. It was a connection. So Gary had these, and the top one is an oil, and the bottom one is a watercolor. And so that's Gary, and he paints fast, and he puts them on Facebook. And it's like, I gotta quit looking. But Oh, and here's a Joel. And it's a nice big piece. It's in our bin, and Mike and I both just love that. And I think we bought that from when we had Joel's art party. I think might have been before that or then. And the sheep wagon speaks. Well, it's our country. It's what we live around. But our Grandpa Greg had sheep. And so anything sheep related is just really special to me. So now I have this neat watercolor. We have that in our den. Thank you.
Besides that, Joel knew that the sheep wagon was invented in Carbon County, so.
Yeah, and he did, and it was so funny. Before I came here, he called, and I said, well, it's funny because I'm going to talk about you today. And told him what we were doing, and he was real excited. Yeah. And Liz, this is one of Liz's photographs. Wow. And last year at our art party for Jerry and Liz, I bought this. The clouds, the sky, the cranes, I mean, it's vivid and beautiful. And Liz, tell us about it.
So actually, that's mountains.
Is it mountains?
It's mountains.
That's
That's
right.
That's snow on
Okay.
the mountains. So,
Okay.
yeah, so that's
Yeah,
called,
I did
it's
know
called
that.
It's called a bokeh effect. So it just
Okay.
depends on how you have
Yeah.
your f-stop on your camera,
Right.
on what's in focus and what isn't. But I had seen a video that Mike Crimmins had shared to Michaela Mahoney, his daughter,
Mhm.
and it was all these sandhill cranes at Kelly Land. Sandhill cranes and geese, and they were just squawking like crazy. Well, I didn't know it at the time, but Michaela is deathly afraid of birds.
Oh.
And he shared that video just to get her goat. And so anyway, so I contacted Stacy, who put me in contact with Mike. I said, can I go on Kelly Land and try and get some pictures? And so I pulled up and I went to take the pictures, and they started to fly off. And that's when I caught that photo.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Thanks.
I just love it. We've got that in the den too, and it's just prettiest sky ever. Neat.
So were
Nice.
you just standing on the ground and?
Yeah,
looking out?
I had my 600 millimeter lens. So yeah,
That's phenomenal.
and usually you can't hold that handheld, but I got lucky.
Oh, it's beautiful. Thank you.
Thanks.
It almost looks like a painting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so cool. It's so.
Dawn Senior Tracks. Now, these bronzes are from some of Mike's earlier collections, I would say early 90s, I think. And they are, and I don't know Dawn, but I know who she is. But looking at her bronzes, I feel like I know her. I feel like she's such a naturalist and is really connected to all nature and critters. And so, Dawn, we're going to go through a few of yours, and would you tell us about them?
Sure. Well, this, I had already created my wildflower series, which will probably be
Right, they're
later.
next.
And I wanted to branch out into the wildlife.
Mhm.
And I grew up, for those of you who don't already know this, I grew up out in the Cedar Breaks and grew up just with wildlife all around where I lived. A log cabin that my family built out there when I was about 5. And so I just took all of the experiences that I had had with all the wild animals, and like Jerry, I don't plan ahead of time what I'm going to sculpt. You know, I just made the bowl shape and just started, you know, playing with shapes and how they fit together. And this was actually the second of my wildlife bowls. wild animal bowls, and at the end I put the two bear cubs playing up on the rim.
And they're everybody's favorites, the bears playing.
And I at that time I was using a foundry up in Cody, and so I would have to drive up there and take my original up there, and I would train the wax chasers how to chase my pieces, and then from then on they could ship me the pieces and I could chase the bronzes and then ship it. At that time I would ship it back to them for the patina. But I always liked to do as much of my own chasing as I could. And then because the bronze process is very long, it takes a lot of steps. But I would make a small addition, and that way I could I would keep an artist's proof, and then that would give me, you know, the details for working on all the rest of them. So.
Thank you. Let's see what's next. I think we have a few more. Oh, this is one of my favorites. See this dragonfly? It's got a beautiful dragonfly on
This is part of my wildflower set, and it's the first piece that I first I made two pictures. I don't know, and I know Mike has the whole set.
They're in here.
it.
Yeah,
They're there.
but anyway, this was part of it.
If I'd known that, I would have changed the order.
That's okay. I have the two pictures and this and a little box, and my kid bought all of those, and then he said, I want something to put them on.
Yeah.
So I made a tray.
The tray is so neat.
Yeah. And sometimes people don't understand how I made, well, maybe in one of the other wildflower ones.
Oh, yeah. Not a very good picture, but here
Well-
are two pictures on a tray.
Yeah,
Do you want the
those
next
are
one?
two of the, is there,
There's an up
there's,
close.
people don't always understand how I made these. This started out from field sketches. I started going around drawing everything when I was a kid. And I kept all my little pencil drawings of all the different kinds of wildflowers and wild grasses and insects. Everything, every little thing that I found, I would draw it in as much detail as I could. So when I created these, I used those field sketches to get the details very, very, very accurately. And one time when I was had a show, somebody came up to me and said, well, "Oh, I don't know what all the fuss is about." He said, you just take these things and you stick them on, He thought I took the actual insect and stuck it on. And I said, no. I had to explain. I said, no, if you actually look, for example, at this butterfly, you'll see that that what looks like different colors is actually sculpted to catch the light or the shadow. And he said,
So neat.
I'm gonna go back to the tray
Oh,
so that I can see all the details.
that's Mike is the one that
Yeah.
asked for that, so.
Yeah.
So Dawn, when you sculpt, what do you sculpt with? Is it clay?
Clay,
Or is
and
it-
I used, because I had to take them, across the state at that time, although later I started using independent bronze workers in the Loveland area. But anyway, I would sculpt it in the kind of clay that you could bake in the oven to make it, it's called polymer clay. so that it gives it a little bit of substance and strength so that it won't get knocked about too much.
And this piece, it was later because Mike bought that for me for a birthday present. And so
okay.
this was probably 10, 15 years ago.
Probably this is actually the last bronze that I made, because after this, and this was I cast these down in the Loveland area, and I spent a lot of time putting together a team of really fabulous independent bronze experts in different areas, like a mold maker, the wax, the casting, and the chasing and patina. All those were independent. They weren't in one single foundry. They were all independents, and I put them together as a team to do my later work. And unfortunately, when my husband became very ill, I wasn't able to continue with my bronzes because they're very demanding, and I needed to spend 24/7 taking care of my husband. So this is actually the last piece I made. And since then, this was like 10 years ago. I think my last bronze catalog came out in 2016. And so since then, most of my team has all retired. So I would have to start all over again from scratch if I wanted to do that. But yeah, this one is called, I can't remember the title right now, but it's actually, it's called Wildflower Prunks.
Yeah.
Because it's actually the seeds and the pods and all the things that are after the actual blossoms.
Thanks. Thank you. Nice. It's nice to hear about them. We do have a little pamphlet on this one.
Yeah, I always made little pamphlets to explain what everything was. Anything else you want to add? No. Okay.
And Jerry Wood, this is my husband's favorite all-time bust of boobs. And it's actually beautiful. And is this white onyx?
That is translucent alabaster from Italy.
Okay.
And on this one, that was when I was in Wild Aspen Studio down there by where Laura Ames was at in the back room. And Mike would come over when we'd have the art openings and all this. And this was before he met Lindy. And he came in one day when I was there, because when I would sit there and work, I'd carve outside. Well, Mike came up that one day right about lunch or whatever, and he goes, "Well, I want to commission you." I said, "All right." And like I said, this was before he met Lindy. He goes, "Well, I want you to do the perfect woman." And I said, "Okay, Mike, what's your vision of a perfect woman?" And he says, the torso, but no head and arms. And, Venus de Milo, the perfect woman.
No brain.
I said, "Okay, no problem." Kind of a funny story on that. I was sitting there working on it, and then a lady came by as I was out working on the torso, and the breasts started to emerge. She goes, "What are you doing here?" I'm going, "Carving a stone." "Well, you can't do this in public." "Why?" "Well, there's kids walking by."
Oh.
"Okay, thank you for your time." So anyhow, that's kind of a little bit of the backstory on that. And then when I finished it, Mike was just really,
he loves
really
it. It's in our entryway, and it is beautiful, and the base is beautiful. It's just beautiful. And I have a cute story. My 22-year-old grandson has autism. Well, he was just little when they first started coming around, and whenever he came in, it swivels. whenever, he was little and he did this for years, whenever he came in, he'd go turn her around. He'd turn her around and walk on it. And it's like he did that for years. Yeah, Daniel did that for years. But we love it, and we really enjoy all of our art, but we have a connection with almost all of the artists. And so I'm glad you were here today, Dawn, because I don't know you, but Mike does, but I feel like your art let me know you. And now I can't wait to see Nancy's art, because I've not seen your fabric art, and I can't wait to see some. I've not seen any. And so,
Come to my house.
you know, and what we do is we recirculate our art. We donate, we change things out every now and then, and we donate. We've given some to the kids, all the kids. Mike and I have 3 kids each, and they're the same ages, bong, bong, bong. And so we've given them a lot of art, and we donate what we want to replace on the wall to something. And so, but we really do enjoy our art. It's a real big connection for me and Mike, and we love sharing it. So thank you.
And Nancy has been accepted into the
You have.
Festival of Arts too.
Oh,
with her
good.
input.
Oh, good. I'll get to see it.
And let me just ask you,
Yeah.
her biggest promoter, she has a gallery at our house.
Okay, well then I can come
Yes,
over.
please.
Please.
Okay. Oh, Gretchen, here is a collage of our friend Gretchen Newman. Every year she did a Christmas card. And so when she passed away, I took my favorites and made a collage out of them, and gave one of them to Shelley because she was a friend of Gretchen's, and I have this. And it's really neat because the top right picture, Gretchen and I were kayaking in a swamp in South Carolina, and that's where that picture came from. And a lot of them came from the Tetons, but this came from the Galapagos Islands, and this one came from the Oregon coast, and then the rest are the. But those colors and that art tells you what Gretchen was like. That was Gretchen. Bright, happy, beautiful. So that's some of Gretchen's art. Oh, Teresa, my friend, our neighbor, Teresa Ramsey Manley is a potter. And I have a few of her pieces, but this is just one of the bowls. And the picture didn't do it justice. It's kind of coppery. You can kind of see it. It's real pretty. And I guess I'm amazed we have so many really good artists in town and in our area, in our county. Another Gary Keimig of, I thought we were done a while ago. I was giving my closing speech. Oh my God, this is embarrassing. Oh no, this,
Well,
I
to me,
thought
it's
we were
enjoyable,
done.
so continue, please.
Gary Keimig, my friend in Du Bois. This is Libby Flats, and look at that sky.
Yeah.
It's just one of my favorites. I have that in my office at home. And it's really neat in there because my walls are turquoise, and it's neat.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a Tricia Kaufman bowl, one of the bowls she molded. And they're fabulous. They're like this big, and she folds them and puts them in the kiln. And I mean, we're just really fortunate what we have available here. And Jerry Palin. Jerry gave this. We had a fish that Jerry did. And I found the paperwork on it. We don't know where the fish is. We have no idea. But this was a card he gave to Mike's folks that he drew to Jane and John and signed it in. And we have that in a scrapbook. And I thought, I need to frame that. I got to put it on a scrapbook. Yeah. But that's a Jerry Palin. And he was just, those of you who knew him, he was a pretty neat guy and a great artist. Oh, this Parco, Mike gave that to me as a Christmas present several years ago. And that's how the Parco Hotel looked when Shelley and I were little, growing up in Sinclair. And those of you who don't know, I have to go off on this. Sinclair was such a pretty little town. When we grew up there, it was a company town. And so it was, manicured lawns. We were one of the first towns in the West to have curbs, gutters, sidewalks. It was beautiful. And the Parco Hotel was iconic, and it was fabulous. And its Spanish colonial design kind of got me interested in architecture. And anyway, Mike got me that for a Christmas present. And to Joel, as you can see. And I collected this from Joel years ago. This ballerina, and it's nice and tall, and watercolor, and it's so vivid in person, and I mean even in the picture it's pretty. But I was always amazed. You can see through the tool. You can. How do artists do? I mean, to me it's amazing how, but it's really a neat piece.
Especially in watercolor.
Yeah.
He is very good
Yeah.
at translucent watercolor.
Yeah. And Joel, our friend Joel, he's been accepted into the Prix de West. I think this is 5th or 6th year, which is, at the Cowboy Museum in Oklahoma City. And so, like he said, he's kind of reached what he wanted to reach, and he's invited again this year and has some beautiful pieces for it. So he's very good. And that's one of the pieces Mike saw when he came to pick me up for our first date, that ballerina. And so,
You want to go back to
no, that's okay. And then this is a photo I took in Prague. And it's my favorite photo. And Prague just does something to you. It's been through so much. And those buildings are so old. And Prague has been, we think we're in bad shape. Prague's been through so much in the history over the years, and literally unscathed during World War II, and the buildings are intact. And so I shouldn't tell this part of the story, but we were on a rooftop bar over here, and that was our view. And so took these rooftops, and the city of spires is what Prague is. And that kind of
the city of what?
spires. I think that's it. I thought that was going to be hard.
You want to talk about our guest for next week?